Hello guys and girls, it's Aaron here, and I'm doing a video about Justice League game and Batman Arkham Knight game update 5. And I did find something. Why does everybody hate Rocksteady's rumored Justice League game? There's a panic on the streets of Arkham. Posted on Thursday, July 12th, 2012. 9:12 p.m. PT. This is an old article by Edwin Evans Thirlwell, deputy editor for OXM. Yesterday, the joyous rumor surfaced that Rocksteady Studios is working on another Batman Arkham game, which is called Arkham Knight, set before the events of Arkham Asylum. Arkham Origins, they're saying. Possibly recounting Batman's association with the Justice League of America and Caped Crusaders Union, whose membership includes Superman, Captain Marvel, The Flash, and Wonder Woman. Well, joy is in my eyes. As their first spin-off headlines broke, a great hue and cry arose from the younger internet, a colossal wailing and gnashing of teeth. The complaints appear to fall into three broad categories. 1. Superman can't be a playable character because he'd absolutely masquerade everybody in a fraction of a second. 2. We want Batman Arkham City 2. Not some lousy origin story. And 3. Most of the other Justice League characters, primarily Aquaman, are overdressed, prancing Nazis with stupidly implausible powers. Batman suits video games better than any other, goes the argument, because he's a triumph blend of the supernaturally capable and the only human, a buff, high-tech Avenger who's just as vulnerable to knives and bullets as the rest of us. Moreover, he's got more psychological depth than, for instance, let's go with Aquaman again. And there's one thing everybody can get behind. It's the basic needlessness of Aquaman. I'm not a scholar of the DC universe. Bet you to it. Outraged comic geeks. And I can't say I've got any inside information as to Rocksteady's next project. But I do have a couple of observations to make about the above. 1. Even assuming the rumor is legit, there's nothing here to rule out a true Arkham City follow-up. Prequels and sequels can and do coexist. And 2, are you utterly off your rockers? Have you forgotten what Batman used to be? Arkham City fans, how he used to acquit himself in video games before Rocksteady rolled up with a handful of stardust. I see that you have, and this saddens me almost as much as the below video of Batman Rise of Sid Tzu for the original Xbox Notice its distinct lack of awesomeness, its overabundance of fail. Yes, indeed, back in the day, virtual Batman was just as shonky and ridiculous an entity as the rest of the caped, computer-sized throng. Another sadly underutilized property among many. It took a game of Arkham Asylum's Camarero to put Bruce Wayne on the industry's map. Do you really think Rocksteady isn't capable of pulling it off twice? The studio's understanding of what makes a licensed game great begins and ends at the door of the Batcave. Look at the love and consistency with which Arkham City's many supervillains, not so supervillains and sidekicks, have been crafted. Even those who basically amount to glorified Easter eggs like Ezreal. This developer doesn't just get Batman, it's intimately familiar with the entire DC cosmos. There's unending promise here. If you think past all those clashing color schemes, yes, Superman's borderline importance makes him unsuitable as the protagonist of a game in Arkham City mold. But imagine if you had to fight him as Batman does in the Dark Knight Returns series. What an enthralling battle that could be. Moreover, as squeaky clean as Superman seems on the surface, there's a lot of isolation and horror in his backstory that might be entirely drawn out, perhaps via a cocktail of kryptonite and scarecrow gas. Clark Kent has issues, chaps. For starters, he risks blowing Lois Lane's head off whenever they do the dirty. You could argue that the magical members of the League have no place in Arkham's gritty real world. But, oh, hang on. You can't, because Arkham's world already contains Ra's al Ghul, immortal man, a woman who can talk to plants, and Incredible Hulk, unlike Bane. There's a thin line between sorcery and science, and the Arkham games cross it frequently to brilliant effect. If it helps, there are plenty of non-magical or barely magical leaguers to pick from, including the decidedly thief SQ Green Arrow and screaming biker chick, the Black Canary. Once upon a time, the thought of a good superhero video game was laughable. Arkham Asylum put paid to the mentality and assuming it's really happening. This Silver Age endeavor is a logical follow through, a sort of DC outreach project, bringing Batman's comrades in from the cold. It raises a lot of questions. Yes, but that's because it raises so many incredible possibilities. Give the League a chance. First Blooders, Bam Ozzy said, I don't think there is hate for another Batman game, but I think this inclusion of the other DC characters will only be detrimental to the gameplay unless they are scripted or guest appearances, not human controlled. In the history of video gaming, there has never been a half-decent Superman game. In fact, Spider-Man is probably the only other superhero game to even come close to Batman in terms of quality video gaming, and that is pretty average by comparison. And also Marvel, not DC. The inclusion of any of the other DC superheroes will only bring down the quality of the Batman games as you think it would. It's be impossible to add them without it doing so, especially with Superman. How can they accurately add Superman without him being overpowered? Impossible. It's virtually indestructible, super fast and super strong. X-ray and laser such heat vision, freezing breath. So could level the entire city in the blink of an eye from space if he so choose to do so. How do you prevent him / players from abusing his powers without compromising his abilities or giving bad guys a chance? So the game is not too easy. The whole tone of the game would change too. Batman operates in a very different world so that of the others in many ways, and I personally would prefer another quality Batman game than a sub-standard Justice League game. This guy is Biza89 said, I'm all for it as long as they are like Robin's cameo in Arkham City, just flying through, saying hi and updating on what they're doing in the world. The next Arkham game will be set in the apocalypse Azrael was banging on about. They will also have Hush and all the other need more info in Batcave moments of Arkham City. They won't change the tone and style, as I don't think anyone goes for camp these days. It's all gritty, and it's all gritty this and that. So either the rumor is true, but mosquitoed and took out of the proportion, or it's false. Expandable 69 said, why? Well, if you believe what's been said on other sites, it looks like a commercial decision by DC to introduce the JLA, Justice League of America, to people before trying to do a Marvel and repeat the success of Avengers Assemble with the Justice League film. I'm concerned that Rocksteady may be producing a game they feel under pressure to make from DC instead of a game they won't want to make. I also think a game with so many lead characters could just end up losing focus and being a total mess. Simpson DW said, Don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love Green Arrow and Green Lantern. Give them a game by the same people as the glorious Arkham games. He says, hell yes, I'll buy that. I trust Rocksteady. I know they'll do it right. This guy is Fury, and he said, he had a comment from somebody else's blog. How can they accurately add Superman without being overpowered, impossible, virtually indestructible, super fast, and super strong. X-ray and laser slash heat. Vision, freezing breath. And this very guy said, off the top of my head, there are a few ways. Adam as an unlockable bonus character who only appears in cutscenes during the story, but can be played once the story is over. This gives players a God mode to unlock, as this will recount Bat's early days with the League. Makes it Soup's early days too. Make his abilities less powerful and make him more vulnerable. The comics and Smallville both found a bit of success with that formula. Simply regulate him to the cutscenes and be done with it. Build his gameplay sections differently. Make them more about using the list of powers to solve a puzzle, which may well be a gigantic boss creature if combat has to be included, rather than beat hell out of regular enemy types. Give the big blue boy scout some truly horrific moral choices and see exactly how just the League can stay. I get where you're coming from. I think I've said on here months ago that Superman is too powerful to be the focus of a video game. But he wouldn't be the focus in this case. Merely one of a case of cast of characters. Each character in a team like he needs to be used differently and have combat content built specifically for them, catering to both their strengths and weaknesses. Imagine areas filled with kryptonite that Soup simply can't get into or has to be rescued from by the more fragile characters. Imagine the Green Lanterns threatened by an evil group of canaries. Imagine Wonder Woman being handcuffed by a male police officer. All these superpowered people have their often bizarre weaknesses, and those could easily be written into scenarios that make certain areas uninhabitable for them, but a prime playground for others. Next guy is Cunning Smile. He said there are a couple of JLA members I could live with being in the same game as Batman, namely the less powerful / human ones like Green Arrow or Black Canary. But even Denny O'Neil, former chief Batman editor for almost 30 years, creator of Ra's al Ghul, Bane, and Scarecrow, amongst others, has said that Batman just doesn't belong in the same universe as Superman. If the guy who is almost single-handedly responsible for the modern Batman, we all know, can't see how it can't be done well, then I'm ready to bow to his wisdom. Skillen 79 said, Damn Edwin, be careful. Those DC boys will start with the New 52 chants if you keep saying that about Aquaman. Bully Man is the next guy, and he said, 2 points of which based on the article that I wish to throw my 2 pence in. Number 1. When you say everybody in the internet, what and who do you mean? Because, for one, I don't hate the idea. I actually search for the haters, and even then, it's an incomprehensible mess of juvenile comments. 2. I personally feel that it's a bold move from Rocksteady, and developers need to stick with the decisions by not caving in to demands from the general public, i.e. Mass Effect 3. If you've got a clear vision of things, then stick with it. People will cast judgment way before its release because it's human nature, but when it comes out, it's all the same. People will be loving it. Look at the Arkham Asylum. There are doubters at the beginning, but it showed how a superhero could be good. Stop paying fan service. Sure, it's fans that buy the game, but most don't have the vision or notice to actually have faith in the gamble. We're a hypocritical bunch. For example, look at the FIFA series, COD series, Call of Duty, and anything by Activision and EA. People constantly complain about how they publish the same games, but people still buy them. The same people whine and moan, whine and moan, and generate troll about it. Why? Because they've got nothing better to do in their lives. They're not game developers. Hell, they're nowhere near the industry. But the internet grants them the right to have the say. Albeit how moronic it is. At the end of the day, I hope Rocksteady include Superman. So what? He's got unfair superpowers. What's unfair about him? About them? To be honest, I kind of like the thought of being overpowered in Arkham/Gotham City, because I would use X-ray powers to perv on Harley Quinn or Catwoman. Either way, what I'm trying to say is, Rocksteady, stick to your guns. Flick the V's and make a decent game. Trolls are going to hate. Fanboys are going to contradict themselves, and the world continues to turn. Cunning Smile replied to one of the comments, I would use X-ray powers to perv on Harley Quinn or Catwoman. Dude has some weird skeleton fetish. Next guy is Grubby. Survive, say, Bully Man, get over it. Get over it. Everyone is a figure of speech, and you know it. Don't get your hackless up over nothing. It makes you look foolish and petty. As for the JLA approach, there are a couple of ways this could go. First, it's a third Batman game, meaning the JLA inclusion will be akin to the Catwoman additions in Arkham City AC, or this is basically a spin-off / prequel game, which means that other JLA members will have some prominence. I expect the former. They're talking about Batman Arkham Origins, which already came out as a prequel game, and it has no Justice League members in it. Alright, guys and girls. You got that, guys and girls? I expect the former. As for the JLA inclusion, meaning Justice League as playable characters, well, Superman is the obvious problem. But there is a question to be raised over why the JLA is necessary. Like the Avengers, the JLA comes together to fight global, celestial, universal threats that one of them alone can't handle. That includes Superman. If you can bring in the JLA, then you are building a game that includes enemies that can match and battle Superman. Superman has a very nice catalog of enemies that can match him. And if he needs be, there are certainly avenues they can go down to create superpowered enemies to match him. It is true that making him the sole focus of a game is difficult. You would have to make a lot of liberties with people's tolerance for what is believable. For some reason, though, they accept an alien from another planet to look exactly like us, but happens to have the strength and powers of a god. They won't accept a storyline where an army of humans supported by high-tech armor and weaponry set out to destroy him or some such. People can be very fickle. This point is, however, that Superman can be used, and he can be used better in this game than he could on his own. The same goes for all the other JLA characters. Justice League of America, really? Characters, really? As for why they're doing this, well, the argument is that it's a DC/WB idea to test the waters for a JLA movie is ludicrous. First of all, to get a JLA movie going, it will take them the better part of 10 years, at least, as they need to re-establish Batman after this last Nolan film. They have to work with that Henry Cavill, who is the new Superman, to see if he is willing to be a part of it in the first place. They would also need to see if Zack Snyder has any long-term plans for the SM series, assuming this next film is any good, and if he is interested in helping them set up a Justice League of America universe, as he went on record previously to say that his Superman films were standalone and not part of a JLA universe, but that was before one was really being developed. If WB said they were going to start actively working on it, then it might be a different story. They would also need to either reboot or fix the Green Lantern franchise, introduce Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, and probably Black Canary too. Not to mention characters like Hawkman, Captain Marvel, Flash, Cyborg, and yes, even Aquaman. Testing the waters for a JLA team now would have very little benefit. Also to note, they have had a few JLA execute team-up episodes during the Smallville run. which they could certainly use as a tester. I'd want to accept them to release a small Blu-ray box set of just the JLA related episodes and see how well it sells as a test, then shoehorning in some additional superheroes to a video game. Also, not that long ago, Rocksteady did say they really wanted to try a Superman game. If this is a test, it's more likely to be a test for them to see if Superman can work in game format. But again, I more likely to think that they wanted to do a Superman game, but decided, like most people have, that he would be too awkward for a standalone game, but could do something great with him in cameo form. Rick W. said, "For me, the Marvel lineup of heroes, the one in the public mainstream anyway, X-Men, Spidey, and now the Avengers, have managed to stay a little more grounded than the DC heroes who, as someone once said, are godlike and therefore hard to identify with." Yes, I know Thor is a god, but still. Green Lantern, the film, didn't do very well at the box office because he's not exactly top tier and he's a little bit silly, and the public probably weren't really grabbed. Compare with Blade, a second or third ranking Marvel hero. Yet Blade, the film, did remarkably well because the simple concept worked. Comic book origins or no, a DC version of Blade would have been from space or something, and he would definitely have worn bright yellow tights. Anyway, I think my point is this. With the exception of Batman, who has been worked on in our cultural perception for decades and has earned his place. DC heroes just ain't cool enough to work in a video game. Too many primary colors, too few dimensions. It's not a coincidence that Watchmen took the P word out of DC heroes. Mamosi said again, I agree that a Superman game can work, but would require a certain set of parameters and moral coding. For example, Superman would never use any of his abilities if they contradicted his very high set of morals, like using his X-ray vision to perv, or super strength / laser vision / speed, etc. If some innocent bystander could be negatively impacted on, this coding would have to be built into him. Not impossible, but requires a lot more effort. Batman is a lot more similar in the fact that he does not have these abilities, and underneath is a human with human limitations. Similarly, some of Superman's abilities can be quite easily replicated by weaponry, but his limitless speed, flight, strength, etc., I think would be very difficult, especially for the effects of using them on the world around him. This is just one of the additional characters. When you add in any of the others, as well as all the enemies and their powers / abilities / weaponry, etc., I think it becomes an almost impossible task to pull off without some issue. How can Superman knock through this wall and not that, for example, or not use super speed to dodge something? How can an enemy get the upper hand if Supes can use super hearing to hear their plans, to use super sight to see their traps? They can't all be behind lead. And super speed to get to them before they can do any of it, as well as utilizing any/all the other Justice League's abilities. Cunning smile says again, Grummy does make a very good point that a JLA movie just won't happen for business reasons. Marvel managed to do an Avengers movie because they own all the character film rights, so expect to see Spidey or the X-Men in Avengers 2, as they sold the film rights years ago. Whereas DC sold off the various rights to the JLA top tier, and they are all owned by different companies. The odds of getting the rights back are really small. The whole reason the Green Arrow cropped up in Smallville was because the TV company couldn't get the rights from Warner Brothers to do the Batman story they wrote, despite both being owned by Time Warner. Warner and DC suffer from too much internal segregation to get everything together. And I've got a feeling that a game may go the same way. Grimmy replied, saying, I agree that a Superman game can work, but would require a certain set of parameters. He read this from somebody else. And moral coding. For example, Superman would never use... I read that part already. I'm not going to read that again for you guys. Some of these guys highlight some of the other bloggers, so yeah. He actually said, which is why I expect if Superman is playable, he will have his own set of missions built and designed specifically for him. Everything you say is far enough. Assuming they just dump him in Gotham and let him run wild. But they won't do that. They deliberately built his missions to suit him, and there is enough available in the reams of Superman history for Rocksteady to make his work. Now Ozzy replied to highlighted somebody's comment too, but he said, doesn't that even become a Superman only level, and not a Justice League thing? Might as well expand on that and make a Superman game instead of bringing down the Batman games. Next guy is OXM ET Boy said, I think there's a fascinating game waiting to be made about Superman personally. I don't think you could do it by artificially restricting his power. Rather, you'd have to make a point of his power somehow, perhaps exploring how it isolates him from those he's sworn to protect. O'Malley's twin said, everyone needs to shut up. Rocksteady nailed Batman, and I reckon they would do a damn fine job of any DC superhero. Mimosy highlighted another comment again. But he said, maybe you can't use any of his superpowers if it is not within his high morals. OXM ET Boy said again. Maybe, or it could be that his morals lead him to question whether it's worth saving us from our self-destructive behavior. Again, there's some really promising stuff in The Dark Knight Returns. Very Cold War inflected. I'm not sure how that would work mechanically, but I suspect the God Sim genre at large could be a useful act to follow. Mullyman said, "Here, here." He highlighted another comment too. Mullyman highlighted a comment again, where he said, "I figured it was a figure of speech, but generally found it to be lazy journalism and a bit of a non-story. No offensive meant, Edwin. It's just my personal opinion that there needs to be careful wording of journalists so as to give a sense of professionalism." Connie Smart highlighted two comments again from the guy above. But he said, but it's not a piece of journalism. It's an opinion piece. That's quite clear from the fact it's listed under blog on the front page. OXM ET Boy said again, "Sorry if you find the article title over the top. Mullyman balancing headlines between the mundane and the sensational is one of the trickier parts of my job, and I'll freely admit to getting it wrong on occasion. Though I think I'm just about within bounds here. As Grubby points out, the rhetorical everybody. Plasma Wing is the next guy. He said, "I just don't like the idea of a prequel right now. I'd rather that they continue the story. Plus, Azrael kind of sets the stage for something big. Unless they do this and tie them together somehow, perhaps something big is about to happen that puts the world in danger, as is always the case for superheroes. Good old Batman making them fear the night and all that." And I highlighted a comment saying, "Sorry if you find the article title over the top." And then he said again, "Want to be over the top? Somehow it's about the new Ed series of Love Bots." Crummy highlighted another comment again. He said, "I was with you right up to the brink, bringing down the Batman games. At that point, I can't follow your logic. First off, assuming this is a Batman game and not a JLA game, however, Superman is used. He won't impact the Batman sections. I expect in this situation that, as I believe I've already said, the other JLA members will be used in a fashion akin to Catwoman. I certainly couldn't claim Catwoman brought the Batman games down. Even though I didn't really especially enjoy them, even with Catwoman, there was still a full Batman game there for me to enjoy. If this is a Batman game, then the JLA will likely act much the same. Secondly, pretty much everyone agrees that a Superman game will be difficult, but bite-sized chunks of him who, with focused gameplay, could work well. And most importantly, with the JLA being part of the story, his inclusion in the game is justified. I will admit that not adding the JLA as playable characters is equally justified. But if Rocksteady chose to do so, then the JLA story allows them to. They're not being shoehorned in for shits and giggles at the expense of the Batman experience. Superman levels, as it were, if included, would fit the story. That is the most important thing. As good as the gameplay is in these Batman games, it's the stories and the characters and how they all fit together as the adventure unfolds that is the best part. It is where Rocksteady have shown the brightest. They have created 2 stories so far that are as good as anything from the comics and any of the films to date. And if they are making a JLA story, you can be sure that the story again will be excellent, and however the gameplay pans out, it will make sense and fit the story. Being assured of that, as I see it, Superman / the JLA can't bring down the series because Rocksteady will keep up the quality that makes these games such a pleasure to experience in the first place. Thirdly, this is all assuming that this is a 3rd Batman game and not a JLA game. If this is a JLA game, then all arguments about the reputation of the Batman games is moot, as this would be Rocksteady making a JLA game, not them making another Batman game with some additional heroes. What was it said again? Firstly, by bringing down the Batman games, I actually mean the reputation that they have created and not suddenly making them inferior. So far, we have had 2 very good Batman games. If this fails, it will be a blip on that reputation. And name, especially as the fact that this is also being talked about as a Batman game. I'm doing a video rather than a Justice League game featuring Batman. It's almost done. Secondly, I have also mentioned ways in which this could work featuring the other Justice League characters that in the whole are not playable, but feature alongside Batman in a scripted way or guest appearances. And finally, I am not hating the idea and saying it will not work. Full stop. I am, however, a little more apprehensive about the whole concept, and not as excited as I would be if it was another Batman game similar to Arkham Asylum and / or City. The inclusion of the other Justice League characters to me have the potential of being detrimental to the story, mood, and evidence of the Batman universe. To me, Justice League was put together to the rival Marvel Avengers. However, I don't think Batman really fits in with the other DC heroes. Metropolis is a far different city to Gotham in terms of mood, eminence, and architecture, and the same goes with the heroes and villains that are in these cities. Having characters like Catwoman and Robin, etc., appearing in a Batman game is a lot different from Lex Luthor, Superman, or Wonder Woman. As I said, I am not hating on it just yet. I am a lot more apprehensive about the prospect than if it was another Batman game with all the characters associated with him and Gotham City. NDR's one said, personally, I want them to make a Judge Dredd game, or a release as a tie-in to the upcoming Dredd to boost sales. Make it similar to Arkham City, but in the Big Meg, perhaps during one Dredd's epic story arcs, to be taking the city after Necropolis would be epic. Or just a dad in the life of Joe Dredd as he paroles the streets dealing with crime. Lords tweak the combat system to more of a brawler style, as Dredd is not as athletic as a bat, with paint sticks and lawgiver coming into play. Maybe a few chase scenes of the other and their lawmaster races responding to Justice Department info to intercept preps. Who knows? But not Justice League. I can't see it working. Grubbing replied to that comment, highlighted it. These guys like write really long, guys, girls. I'm gonna have to make this a part 2, guys and girls. I'm getting late for dinner here, guys and girls. I should be eating right now. I don't know why I did this video right now. So I hope I did this for 51 minutes. And I gotta go now, guys. I'm sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, comment, like, favorite, subscribe, thoughts, opinions. I hope you will like it and enjoy it for your viewing pleasure. Guys and girls, thank you so much. And stay tuned for more. Guys and girls, alright, bye.